Most people believe that the reason they are not progressing in life is because they lack motivation, as if motivation were some rare internal resource that other people possess and they do not. That belief is comforting, but it is wrong. Motivation is not rare, and it is not powerful enough to create lasting change. It is emotional, temporary, and dependent on circumstances that are constantly shifting. Discipline, on the other hand, is not emotional. It does not depend on how you feel, how inspired you are, or how confident you feel about the outcome. This difference is why discipline consistently outperforms motivation, regardless of intelligence, talent, or desire. Motivation feels strong at the beginning of any new goal, because the brain responds to novelty. New plans feel exciting because they create the illusion of transformation without requiring effort yet. But novelty fades quickly. The human brain is not designed to sustain emotional energy over long periods of repetition. It seeks efficiency, not inspiration. This is why people feel motivated at the start of a routine, a project, or a personal transformation, and then quietly abandon it once the initial excitement disappears. This is not a character flaw. It is biology. Motivation operates at the conscious level of the mind, where intention exists, but control is weak. Discipline operates below consciousness, where habits, systems, and automatic behavior live. When behavior is automatic, it no longer requires permission from emotion. Discipline removes decision-making from action. When discipline exists, there is no daily negotiation, no internal debate, and no need to ask whether you feel like acting. The behavior happens because it has been scheduled, structured, and reinforced. This is why discipline works even when motivation is absent. Most people wait to feel motivated before they act, and that waiting becomes the trap that keeps them stagnant. Motivation does not precede action. It follows Italiano. Action creates momentum, momentum reinforces identity, and identity sustains behavior. Discipline forces action before emotion agrees, and that is why it feels uncomfortable to most people. It does not care about mood, energy, confidence, or excuses. Discipline feels cold, mechanical, and restrictive, and that is precisely why it works. Motivation feels good because it aligns with emotion. Discipline feels uncomfortable because it ignores it. But restriction creates freedom. When actions become predictable and automatic, mental resistance fades, and the brain stops fighting itself. Consistency replaces struggle. This is why disciplined people often appear calm and focused. They are not battling internal resistance every day because the decision has already been made. Motivated people must constantly convince themselves to act. Disciplined people simply act. Motivation requires constant renewal, reassurance, and emotional reinforcement. Discipline requires structure, and structure outlasts emotion every time. This is why relying on motivation creates cycles of progress and collapse. High energy, followed by burnout. High intention, followed by abandonment. The system depends on feeling, and feeling is unstable. Discipline creates a flat system, no highs, no lows, just execution. This does not feel inspiring, and it does not feel heroic. It feels repetitive, boring, and uneventful. But repetition is exactly what the brain accepts. When behavior becomes familiar, resistance disappears. And when resistance disappears, identity begins to change. Not when motivation is high, but when discipline has been applied long enough to feel normal. Discipline rewires identity. I do this slowly becomes this is who I am. This is why disciplined people do not rely on willpower. They remove choice, reduce friction, and design their environment to support the behavior automatically. They do not ask themselves whether they want to act. They act because the system demands it. Motivation reacts to conditions. Discipline creates conditions. This is the difference most people never understand. If you wait for motivation, you will always be late. If you build discipline, progress becomes inevitable. The uncomfortable truth is that most people do not fail because they lack desire. They fail because they refuse structure. Structure feels limiting, but without it, freedom is an illusion. Motivation promises change. Discipline delivers it, and that is why discipline will always beat motivation.